When's a good time to convert your image to black and white? All right, we are back here at Photography After Hours. It is getting late night here. We are having some fun.
This is after hours.
So we're talking about monochrome images in black and white. So let me introduce everyone. We have Sprague, Susie, Scott, and my name is Nick. And we are with PAC, Photographers Adventure Club. And that's at photoadvclub.com. If you want to know what they do, just go on their website. So we're here talking about black and white. So we don't want to waste your time. Let's just jump right into it. So when should you convert to black and white, Sprague?
Always.
Always.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
agree.
Makes
I
it
love
easy.
black and white.
Well, yeah, it's a great medium, and a lot of times you look at a photo and just find that the subject and the contrast can really be enhanced, and it really tells the story better if you convert it to a black and white photo. It tends to isolate what you're really trying to focus on, and it makes it really a more compelling image. And
yeah,
so
I found,
but not every photo translates well to black and white.
No, it doesn't.
I found, and I learned this from Lewis Kemper. He's one of our Canon explorers that came in and spoke, and when doing HDR, it actually is advantageous to convert it to black and white so you don't get all distracted by the colors, so you get all your tones right of all your high dynamic range, and then go back to color. So you don't have to keep it in black and white, but it's one of the reasons to go there, and just because it just takes the distractions away, like you said. It's really not all over distracting. So
that's part of my workflow. So when I'm editing, I'll go to black and white, and then I adjust my black point, my white point, my shadows, and my highlights before I then touch color. And sometimes I will decide that I like the image better monochromatically, and I'll just stay.
Yeah. So a lot of images I like black and white, but again, it depends. There's some that it just doesn't work.
And you can sell it for more, apparently,
because it's art now.
It's arty. You can add more texture.
If you make nudes black and white, they're artistic now.
Well, and a lot of time, that's right. You may tremble a bit as you hang it, but I think also if you're going to print it, that a lot of times it's just more interesting as a printed image if it's in black and white versus color. I think it translates better. I think different types of paper probably, a real fabricy paper can sometimes look good, with black and white image, and so.
Yeah, it really, like I'm looking around the gallery here, and you can't see all these pictures
because this studio is so big.
Well, you have Jamal here. You have all the pictures from. We actually did a gallery showing at the drive-through gallery, and I got to pick the theme out, and I was like, well, have you ever done black and white? He was like, no, I never thought about doing this. I'm like, can we do black and white? Because I love black and white, and I know everyone else didn't love it. It took you some time to figure out what images to pick, right? Mm-hmm. Because you were like, kind of like, oh, what should I pick?
I don't think of myself as shooting very many monochromatic images, and and I started to think that when we were doing this topic too, and then I'm like, well, there's three of them here.
Three of yours right there. You have Joel's behind us, and I have tons of mine all over the house that I have all over my house. I have them from Tucson, and it works for certain things again, but I actually started shooting lately in black and white too, so I'll convert it in the camera at the model shoots. It takes all the distraction of the orange hose. We just did a firefighter in orange hose and very colorful outfit. When you put it in black and white, you can really see if you got the lighting right and you got everything else right out of the gate, as opposed to shooting it in color and go, oh, it looks great, it's all colorful and pretty, and then you get home, you're like, oh, no, I didn't have the right angle or something.
Yeah, it's just maybe just too much of anything, that, like you say, when we were doing that fireman shoot, that he had that big, orange hose running through there, and when you finally started looking at the picture, it's like, my God, that's all you see. Yeah. And so, you had to start looking for ways to tone it down a little bit. Yeah, and exactly. So, sometimes, bringing it down really helps. But the other thing I think you have to consider when you're doing black and white pictures is that the easy, the quick and easy solution is just to desaturate the image. Just pull all the color sliders, or just pull your master saturation level back and say, there it is, done. And it really doesn't work as well that way, because basically when you go into a black and white conversion program, you can set up filters in there, because to isolate a particular color, for example, you might know that if you've got a flag and it's red and white, that you can, mess with your red filter and you can make that, make it more contrasty or darker simply by adjusting the red slider or.
Well, it looks muddy. If all you do is just take it and desaturate it, right. It looks muddy and flat, and there's too much in the midtones. Mm-hmm. So, a true black and white should have true black value, true white value, and all the ranges in between. And it should be somewhat contrasty, so that the black and white play off of each other. That's kind of the whole.
I find that to lighten them a lot more than you would think. When I just hit black and white on Lightroom, they always seem dark. I always end up having to bring them up to get more of those gray tones out.
Yeah. And like Sprague was saying, if you go into channels in Photoshop, and there are ways to do this in curves and stuff too.
And Lightroom has that too with the colors.
Yeah, you can.
Well, and Nick Silver effects too.
Yeah, the reds versus the greens and the blues, and if you know where the colors are in the color image, then you can really fine tune the result.
You can take the green slider and change the total color of the grass. And I did this with my cemetery project I was talking about. I can make it look infrared by just moving the green slider around, and it changes from black grass to light grass. And you change the whole feel of the image by just playing with that, and it doesn't affect it like you do with saturation.
Yeah, it's not a global change to the whole image. It's very color specific.
Take the blue one. You can make the sky look like it's nighttime out, and then make it light again. So you can really change. And we used to do it with filters back in the day. You'd put orange filters on and green filters to take colors in and out of the images, and now you can do it all in post-processing. Lightroom, Photoshop. You mentioned Nik. I don't use Nik anymore. I used to be the huge Nik fan, but there's really no employees anymore, so I don't have a honest belief that it's going to last very long since Google took them over. So I started using a program called MacFun, and it's only for Mac users, unfortunately, but it's a great program, and they still have tons of developers on. There's other ones out there, On One and Topaz, which I think they have a black and white one. But at least these other programs are still developing it, and I wish Nik was still around, but they have no employees.
Well, I think if with Silver Effects, I mean, even if you just have the base program and it's never updated, I think that the way that works is probably better than what I've seen in any of the other programs so far, because it really does allow you to tweak it. It gives you a lot of great presets to start with, and then you can kind of move off and fine tune it.
See, I don't want to get off topic on it, but that's true for right now. But what happens with programs in general, all programs, like go try to put like Microsoft Word 2000 on your computer now. It doesn't work. It doesn't have the right architecture to work. So if they have no one to fix it when the operating system gets moved up, we're done. So I've kind of taken it out. I love it, but I've taken it out of my workflow because I don't want to be stuck not knowing something new when the operating system moves forward and they don't.
You don't want to be dependent on it. The automated aspects. It's better to have a foundational understanding of what it is that you're manipulating.
That's why. Yeah, that's the only reason. And besides that, it's a great program. You have it, use it. But I'm trying to get unhooked from HDR Effects Pro and all those ones because I've used them for so long. They're just second nature to me. But I'm going to start using Photomatics again. I'm going to start using other programs that still have developers, So, and we were kind of worried about this. Ken and I talked about it when Nik got taken over by Google. It's like, it could be awesome or it could just kill it.
It could be very, very bad. And they did, work on it for a while, and then suddenly they just blew it up. And decided it wasn't the way they wanted to go.
It just seems like no one's there, which, and again, it's a great program for now, but who knows what's going to be in a year or 2 years or, even be around anymore.
Yeah, for me, the fine point of it is I've noticed that a lot of the second or third-party software companies, when you get into their black and white conversions, tend to put a lot of grain into the picture that you don't see in Nik. So that's why I've tended to stick with it. So I'm really hoping that, MacFun and On One, as they go forward, will get something that's a little bit less grainy.
There's lots of ways to achieve a black and white. There's no one way better than the other. I personally use black and white very selectively, and I do it for creative purposes. I don't, I do it for more of a storytelling. I'll use black and white when I'm trying to tell a story. Like when I'm photographing a wedding, I sometimes like to use the kind of the getting ready, the preparation part. I'll sometimes put that into black and white. Sometimes when I'm shooting a wedding, I'll use that technique as kind of more of a photojournalistic technique where I'm kind of like the fly on the wall and I'm capturing moments, I'm capturing instances. And those moments and instances, sometimes they look better in black and white, and they look more photojournalistic. They don't look so posed, they don't look so planned, and they look more spontaneous.
Yeah.
And I'll use that to juxtapose against the color photographs, which are more planned and more posed and more prepped. And so I use it for a creative purpose. The other reason I use it is, sometimes you get in these situations where you have a difference of, lighting conditions, a difference of color temperature. A lot of times you go to a hotel room. Yeah, and you go to a hotel room and you're photographing the bride getting ready, and, the makeup artist, she takes the lampshade off the lamp, and there's this big tungsten lamp that she's using, and that's glowing the whole room tungsten. Then you've got the window light that you're photographing your stuff with window light. So you've got this kind of thing. And, as much as I'd like to go into a room and just shut down all the lights, you can't really do that when the makeup artist is like, no, I need that light because I'm putting her makeup on. Yeah, she's doing her job. Yeah. So a lot of times you're like kind of stuck with this mixed ambient light. So you're just like, this is like the perfect time to go black and white.
Even in the main room, you have the DJ lights, the overhead lights, the fluorescent lights that they have in some. They have light coming from outside. There's like 6 different light sources sometimes, and you're flash, and it's like the camera, you have to pick one, and then the others are going to look badly. So yeah, I've done that too. So or if my photographer bounces off a yellow ceiling, then that client got all black and white pictures. So I did not hire that photographer ever again. Just for future, do not bounce off a colored ceiling or wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love black and white. I'm a student of the old school. I actually have my minor was actually in black and white photography, and this was back in the film days when they were teaching the Ansel Adams, zone system.
How old are you?
Yeah, I'm
97 years old.
Back in the
so they were still teaching the zone system. They were still teaching, this is back when we were still using color filters and all that stuff, and
now it's all
even black and white infrared film, and I mean it was the whole thing. And actually infrared, I'm actually seriously considering converting one of my old DSLR cameras to an infrared sensor and having that sensor conversion, just because I love that old, that black and white infrared look,
Just do that on Instagram.
Now you see that's
now you started to fight.
Bam, nailed it.
Yeah, that's not.
I wanted to make a point about where you were describing interspersing black and whites through a color album for a wedding, and I think that doing that adds another type of perspective just by adding that monochrome image. Right. It gives the viewer a different feel, a different atmosphere. The photo has a different atmosphere altogether, and it really adds variety to the full, like you said, you're telling the story start to end, and you really are kind of adding a new perspective.
Right. It's kind of, you're segmenting out. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to touch a little bit about album design. There is one thing that really is kind of a big pet peeve of mine. I don't like when people mix color images with black and white. I don't think that those should be displayed together on the same spread. I think if you start off color, the whole spread needs to be color. If you start off black and white, the whole spread should be black and white.
2 pages.
Yeah, 2 pages is a spread. So, you have a congruency and a consistency, and everything is of the same color tonality and same.
I like to do them like tic-tac-toe pattern.
Yeah, it looks like a high school yearbook,
Hollywood squares,
But
with Paul
but it helps to
square.
segment out the story in kind of a chapter. So you turn the page and it's like a new chapter,
Well, and black and white isn't the only, I know we're talking about black and white, but really we're talking about monochrome images. And for instance, you do a lot of Western photography, and you will use a sepia tone effect.
Is it sepia or is it sepia?
I say sepia. Maybe it's sepia. I don't know.
Tomato.
If anybody says bokeh, you're in trouble. So
Bokeh.
In Quebec, it's sepia.
Bokeh.
Oh, okay, that's why. So there are similar effects that you can do using pretty much any color, and it's usually not all the colors of the rainbow. But I do see some very well done images that will use just cyan, or
I've done like the blue it looks like tin kind of color, and I've done the sepia ones, and they fit certain images. Like I don't like my cowboys in black and white. I've tried it, and it looks okay, but the sepia really fits the subject and what it is,
Well, and that may be a whole nother topic of conversation. I mean, black and white is black and white, but monochrome, there's a whole color theory involved with monochrome, and when you can pick different shades of the same color and put them together.
Non-color theory.
Yeah, it's like, well,
the uncolor.
The uncolor.
Well, sometimes you're just trying to warm the image too, and sometimes it's just too stark, and just the colors you just end up with, and so putting a little.
People in black and white though is really nice. So like I'll do when I shoot 2 shots. So I'll shoot like click, and just so that there's no eyes closed and stuff. If they're both good, I'll usually turn one to black and white. So as I'm going through, instead of erasing them all or picking, because they're identical, so I'll do black and white and color. So then the client has a choice now of, okay, get the same shot, and they don't have to call me up and say, hey, do you have the color one of them? I have to go back and edit it and upload it to SmugMug. It's just done. I could just easily leave that out, but I just got into the habit of just deliver more pictures.
And I think visually it helps enhance the tone gradations throughout the picture too. If you put a little bit of a tint on it, sometimes black and white, it just can hit you as a little bit flat. And so I usually find
Well, plus our brains are just they're
mush at this time.
They're made to be able to interpret black and white. Like our brains see it black. I mean, remember? I don't know if you guys remember watching old black and white TV. Back when I was a kid, that's all we had was a black and white TV.
Seriously, how old are you? It's just going downhill.
I was old enough to have a black and white TV.
In the old country, we have the black and white
Hey, at least
TV.
we had TV. Okay?
No. His parents were purists. They didn't believe in going to the black.
I remember we had the old Zenith. Anyways,
color was
Zenith.
a crime against God.
We had to get up and go change the channel.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was the remote control. Hey,
it was Scott.
change it.
Scott was the remote control.
Brian Williams was there.
But anyway, the black and white, your brain is just, it sees black and white and it thinks nothing of it. It fills in all the information, and it doesn't need color in order for it to interpret what your brain wants to see. Your brain naturally wants to see things in black and white. I mean, I think aren't like most dogs like see black and white or something. I don't know.
They see some color.
Yeah, and Peter Lick sells his pictures.
Yeah,
for
and you can sell them for $6.5 million if you
put them in. That's his only black and white image I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, if you do it right, I mean, you actually know what the color is, even though it's a black and white image, just because you can tell where the yellows and the reds and the greens are.
Yeah. Right, because we're programmed to see tonality, not necessarily color. I mean,
you were saying that most people that have color blindness don't even know that.
A lot of people that are colorblind
aren't sure.
Don't realize that they're colorblind
until they get to a stoplight and they
that's why they
blow
put
right
them
through it.
So that's why they're always in the same order. That's why they're like in the same order, even left to right, whatever it is. They're never backwards.
That's why red's always at the
top or left, so that people know, they're trained to know where it is, not but they dress horribly.
But there are some photos.
It's like, why do you wear green and purple?
There are some photographers.
God, it's the Joker.
There are some photographers I can look at their body of work, what they post regularly on social media and stuff, and I've been able to guess that they were colorblind.
Well, like Joel Grimes, Joel Grimes. He always says, "I'm
colorblind." Lots of blues and yellows, and then also something about people who are colorblind. They really do perceive contrast and tones better than people that are able to see a broader color spectrum, because their brains work hard to zone in on that, and so they notice detail that we don't always catch.
Yeah. All right.
It's fascinating to me.
Cool. Well, this was another episode of After Hours.
It's Nick's nap time.
It's way after hours. Yes. So put down there in the comments if you have any ideas for black and white projects you've done, links to projects you've done again, and tell us what you think. Do you think certain things should or shouldn't be converted to black and white? So, you're drooling. See, it's late for you too. It's drooling. It's a drinking problem.
We got to find a different bar. Cheers.
All right, we'll see you next time.